What if you discovered that you have been literally dreaming your entire life while believing yourself to be living a normal life? Would you choose to continue the dream or risk the discomfort of truly opening your eyes? In this video, Gurdjieff addresses two profound questions. Is it okay to remain asleep? And what drives our desire for spiritual awakening? So listen till the end. And if these words make sense to you, don't forget to join our community by subscribing to the channel. The question you ask, whether remaining asleep is acceptable, contains within it an assumption I must correct before we can proceed. You imagine that I stand here judging sleep as evil, condemning the mechanical life that most humans live from birth to death. This is a misunderstanding that prevents genuine insight into the nature of your condition. Sleep serves a purpose in the cosmic arrangement of existence. The universe requires billions of sleeping humans to function according to laws that operate on scales far beyond individual consciousness. You are born into sleep as naturally as rivers flow downhill, as naturally as planets follow their orbits through space. This is neither tragedy nor mistake. It is simply how reality organizes itself at your level of being. Most people must remain asleep for the world to function as it does. Imagine if everyone suddenly awakened to full consciousness. The entire structure of society would collapse within hours. Your economic systems, your political arrangements, your social hierarchies all depend on mechanical humans responding predictably to conditioning, following programs installed during childhood, reacting according to patterns that can be anticipated and managed. From this perspective, your sleep is not wrong. It is appropriate to your place in the cosmic order, fitting for the role you currently play in the great machine of existence. Morality does not enter into this observation any more than morality applies to whether an acorn becomes an oak tree or remains forever an acorn. Some acorns sprout and grow, most do not. Both outcomes serve nature's purposes equally well. Yet here is what creates the possibility of something different. Unlike actual machines, unlike oak trees and rivers and planets, human beings possess the potential for consciousness of their mechanical nature. You can observe your own automatism, witness your programmed reactions, and recognize the forces that move through you, masquerading as your own thoughts and feelings. This observation does not immediately free you from mechanical existence, yet it plants a seed that may eventually grow into something unprecedented. What makes certain people develop the wish to awaken, while others remain contentedly asleep throughout their entire existence? This question touches the mystery at the heart of all genuine teaching. The answer cannot be reduced to simple causes or predictable patterns. It emerges from depths that ordinary psychology cannot measure or explain. I have observed that a special kind of suffering must accumulate in a person before they can even recognize their sleep. This suffering has nothing to do with ordinary pain or life difficulties that everyone experiences. It is suffering that comes from some deep part of being that recognizes, however dimly, however wordlessly, that something essential is missing from existence as you are currently living it. This recognition arrives differently for each person. Perhaps you achieve everything your culture defines as success: wealth, status, relationships, pleasures, yet feel an emptiness that these accomplishments cannot fill. Perhaps you encounter death directly, your own mortality, or the death of someone you love, and this encounter reveals that you have been living as if life continues forever, never truly present to the precious brevity of each moment. Perhaps you simply wake one morning with the inexplicable sense that you have been sleepwalking through your years, that genuine life has been happening somewhere else while you attended to concerns that suddenly appear trivial and meaningless. What I call the magnetic center begins developing through these experiences. It is a subtle quality that gradually organizes itself within your being, a kind of inner gravity that pulls you toward truth even when you do not yet understand what truth means. This magnetic center cannot be created through effort or will. It emerges organically when conditions are right, like a plant sprouting from soil that contains the proper nutrients and receives adequate sunlight. Most people never develop significant magnetic center because their attention remains scattered among thousands of trivial concerns that fill their days. They live always on the surface of themselves, never quiet enough to hear the whisper from the depths that says something essential is missing. The noise of ordinary life, entertainment, worry, social obligations, endless mental chatter, drowns out any possibility of hearing this call. For those in whom the magnetic center does develop, awakening gradually transforms from an interesting idea into a necessity. The comfortable sleep that once seemed natural becomes unbearable, like wearing clothes that no longer fit, like living in a house that has grown too small to contain your expanding awareness of what human existence might actually be for. Here is something crucial you must understand about awakening. It goes against nature, against the automatic flow of life that carries sleeping humanity along like leaves floating on a stream. Everything in your environment, everything in your conditioning, everything in the mechanical momentum of your existence works to maintain sleep and prevent consciousness from emerging. Nature does not want you to wake up. You serve the cosmic economy more efficiently while sleeping, responding predictably to the forces that move through you, playing your assigned role in the great machine without the complication of genuine consciousness. Awakening represents a kind of rebellion against the natural order, a defiance of the mechanical laws that govern your current level of existence. This is why awakening requires effort of a kind most people never contemplate. It requires working against every habit, every comfort, every automatic pattern that has guided your life since childhood. It requires creating friction where you would naturally seek ease, maintaining awareness when sleep would be simpler, and choosing conscious suffering over mechanical pleasure. I have said that awakening also requires shocks, deliberate disruptions of your mechanical patterns that create conditions where consciousness might emerge. These shocks can be external, events that violate your expectations and force you out of habitual reactions, or internal, created through methods that interrupt your automatic functioning. Without such shocks, your mechanical momentum simply continues unchanged, regardless of your intentions or desires about awakening. Many who speak about spiritual awakening present it as peaceful, pleasant, a gentle unfolding toward bliss and enlightenment. This is a dangerous fantasy that prevents genuine work. Real awakening means facing the terrible truth about your mechanical nature, recognizing how little choice you actually possess, witnessing the nothingness that exists beneath the elaborate personality you have constructed to hide this nothingness from yourself and others. To awaken means to see the illusions that keep your personality alive, to recognize that almost everything you believe about yourself is a fabrication designed to avoid confronting the absence at your center. This seeing is not comfortable. It does not produce pleasant feelings or spiritual experiences that you can collect like souvenirs from your journey. It produces a kind of suffering that only those with sufficient magnetic center can value, the suffering of consciousness recognizing its own imprisonment. As my student once recorded in his careful notes, I told him something that contains the essential difficulty of all work toward consciousness. To awaken, a man must realize that he is asleep, and to realize that he is asleep is the hardest thing of all. Why is this realization so difficult? Because your entire sense of self, your whole identity, your every assumption about your own existence depends on believing that you are already conscious, already awake, already in possession of free will and genuine choice. To recognize your sleep means dismantling this entire structure, admitting that you have been deceiving yourself about the most fundamental aspects of your being. Your mind creates elaborate defenses against this recognition. When someone suggests you are asleep, you immediately begin thinking of all the evidence that you are awake, your ability to think, to reason, to make decisions, to reflect on your experience. Yet all of this mental activity can occur completely mechanically, thoughts arising automatically in response to stimuli, following patterns established long ago, creating the convincing illusion of consciousness while actual consciousness remains absent. I have watched thousands of students struggle with this recognition. They come to my teaching believing they understand that they are asleep, believing they have already taken the first step. Then, through methods of self-observation, they gradually discover that their understanding was merely intellectual, another thought, another concept, another piece of knowledge to accumulate. The visceral, bone-deep recognition that they are machines responding mechanically to forces they cannot see or control arrives much later, if it arrives at all. This recognition, when it finally penetrates beyond intellectual understanding, produces a specific quality of shock. Something in you sees with absolute clarity that you have been living as an automaton, that what you called your life has been mostly a mechanical reaction to circumstance, that genuine being has been almost absent from your existence. This seeing cannot be unseen. It changes your relationship to yourself permanently, even when consciousness again slips away into sleep. For most of humanity, sleep is sufficient. They are born, live their programmed existence, experience the joys and sorrows that mechanical life provides, then die without ever suspecting that another possibility existed. From the cosmic perspective, this is perfectly acceptable. These sleeping beings serve their function in the universal economy as effectively as any conscious being would serve theirs. The question of whether it is acceptable to remain asleep becomes relevant only for those in whom the magnetic center has developed to the point where sleep itself becomes a form of suffering. For these individuals, continuing to live mechanically produces pain that cannot be soothed by any ordinary pleasure or accomplishment. They have touched something real, however briefly, and this touch has poisoned their ability to remain contentedly asleep. When this inner call arises with sufficient force, awakening ceases to be a choice and becomes a necessity, not because someone outside demands it, not because a teacher or teaching insists upon it, but because something within your own being can no longer tolerate the prison of mechanical existence. This call is the beginning of real consciousness, the first movement toward genuine being that might eventually develop through years of sustained effort and conscious struggle. The call manifests differently in each person according to their unique inner constellation. For some, it arrives as unbearable awareness of time passing, of life being consumed by trivial concerns, while the essential remains untouched. For others, it emerges as hunger for meaning that no philosophy can satisfy, no religion can fill, no achievement can quench. For still others, it appears as simple recognition that they have been watching themselves live rather than actually living. That consciousness has been observing mechanical existence from some distant place rather than participating fully in the miracle of being. This wish to awaken, when it becomes genuine rather than remaining merely an attractive idea, transforms everything about your relationship to existence. Ordinary life continues with all its demands and responsibilities, yet you begin working within this ordinary life towards something that transcends it. Every moment becomes potential practice, every situation an opportunity to struggle against mechanical reaction, every encounter a chance to remember yourself rather than disappearing into sleep. So I return to where we began, yet now you perhaps understand the question differently than when you first asked it. Is it acceptable to remain asleep? From nature's perspective, from the cosmic view, your sleep serves its purpose perfectly well. You need not awaken. The universe will continue functioning whether you develop consciousness or remain mechanical throughout your entire existence. The real question lies deeper than acceptability or moral judgment. The question is whether something within you has awakened to the point where continuing to sleep produces suffering that can only be resolved through conscious work on yourself. If this inner call has not yet arisen, then my words remain interesting ideas that change nothing about how you actually live. If the call has begun to sound, however faintly, then you stand at a threshold that will define everything about your future development. You cannot force this call to arise through wanting it or believing it should exist. Yet, if it has arisen genuinely from the depths of your being, you will recognize it by a simple sign. Sleep itself has become unbearable, and the wish to awaken has transformed from pleasant fantasy into the only thing that truly matters.